Sound is.
Nick, we seem to have a thing with comedians at the moment because we've had Mary Kustas, Angelo Tsaroukas on the show, and now we have another one.
I don't know what's going on, mate. Are we meant to be funny guys?
I should be including you. You're a bit of a comedian too. I've seen you driving.
My dad jokes.
Absolutely. What do the boys think of your jokes?
They laugh. They slap their forehead and say, "Dad, don't say that again."
Do they really though?
They do. I think I'm funny, but they don't.
Every dad does.
Yeah.
Well, I've got to say, I love today's guest. I think he's definitely one of the rising stars of stand-up comedy in Australia, and he's an amazing storyteller, especially when it comes to talking about his cultural background. Starting his career in 2017, he became a two-time New South Wales Raw Comedy State finalist, and he's performed with some of the best comedians Australia has to offer, including Dave Hughes, Nicky Britton, Tahir, and a lot more.
Huge.
He's written, produced, and performed a solo hour of stand-up comedies, including The Worst of Both Worlds in 2017, Sydney Fringe Festival in 2018, Christmas Feast in 2018, Unaccounted at the Sydney Comedy Festival in 2019, Mr. Perfect in 2019, and Confirmation 2020, Sydney Perth Comedy Festival in 2021. The latter two of which take place at the prestigious Sydney Comedy Store, and he's performed at the Sydney Comedy Festival Gala in 2021. Very busy man.
Sounds like it.
He's also a fellow podcaster, Nick, because he hosts the Hack Pack and the Kevin Lasagna Appreciation podcasts. We're, of course, talking about Greek, Italian, Australian comedian Anthony Locascio. Entoni, welcome, my friend.
Hello, boy there.
Hey, and
There it is.
There it is. What's going on? Finally, an opportunity to just let the little Poseidon in me explode. Here we go. There's so much just untapped Greek mining gold within me that I'm just here to unleash. Thank you for the research as well. That's.
It's lifted straight off your website. I can't say that I did too much.
It's also telling me that my website is out of date because there's a big chunk missing from this year that I'm going to have to update. But
what have we
chat,
missed?
we'll chat about it.
Yeah,
Well,
you can add to it.
I've done like this year. I did my fifth major hour. I ran the gauntlet, as they say. That's what they call doing all of the festivals in Australia.
Yep.
So I did the Adelaide Fringe in February. Then I did the Melbourne
Huge
International. Yeah, massive.
Yeah.
Did the Melbourne International Comedy Festival in April.
Wow.
And then the Perth and Sydney Comedy Festivals in May. And I did my most recent show, which is called "Don't Call Me a Wog."
All right.
You've heard.
Yeah, and so now I'm here to call myself a wog again.
Fantastic. Do you
Classic.
call yourself a wog? Just on the record.
I do. I do like to refer to. I mean, that's what I am. You know, in the truest definition of the weird bastardized term that we use. And that's kind of the point of the show. You know, I don't want to be called a wog by certain people, but the show still has the word wog in it because it's still a part of me.
Has Nick Giannopoulos allowed you to use the word wog?
We have an arrangement.
Very good.
Do you know what? I'll tell a funny story about him a little bit later.
Okay, no worries.
Sure.
We'll
Get to
bookmark that.
But if I can do a little plug as well, the video, the show "Don't Call Me a Wog," I filmed it recently, and it will be out soon. So let's just crack that fourth wall and say, get onto my YouTube.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Everyone get onto it.
Get
Anthony
onto it.
Locascio.
Done.
It's coming soon. But thank you for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Well,
Just-
let me ask you, how does it feel to be on someone else's podcast now?
so much better. So much better. I just turn up here, had a drink, and then just sat down. That's it.
Are you feeling the need to take over at any point?
Nah,
No.
that's fine.
You got
questions
Fine.
for
you
us?
guys
or no?
You guys chatted away amongst yourselves in the first 5 minutes. I'm like, Mate, should I leave? No pressure at all.
Fantastic.
The currently dormant Kevin Lasagna Appreciation podcast is just me as well. Like, I don't have guests generally for that. It's just me, microphone, opinions for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare to listen to. It's
We should get onto it.
We should absolutely.
Get some ideas off you, mate.
well, if you like soccer, it's good. If you don't like soccer, it's horrendous.
Okay. Premier League or what type of soccer?
Look, so the idea is that I explore the comedy in football. Because I think there are a lot of shows in the UK that do that kind of take a comedic look at football. But in this country, it's just serious. You know, there's no the footy show for soccer in this country. And I tried to be that. I tried to be that voice. But inevitably, I just started rambling about Juventus every single week in a very uncomedic way. Just sitting like, look at that fucking shit.
Yeah.
Have you seen that guy in Greece? I don't know if you've seen him in Greece, the guy who runs the show for Olympiakos. Takis Tsoukalas. If you haven't seen him, look him up.
Yeah.
His happy snaps are the greatest thing on Greek television.
Okay, mad.
It's fantastic. I'll show it to you later. And guys, if you're listening, check it out. It's hilarious.
I don't think my fingers could bring themselves to type in Olympiakos into the search station. The big Panathinaikos family.
Really?
Yeah. Unfortunately, actually. Yeah.
And we've just lost half our audience right there.
Oh, well.
I don't know. We might have gained a lot.
We maybe. Well, mate, Carlos Irthes, good to have you with us.
Thank you. Carlos Osvrika.
Welcome, mate.
And Nick, I think it's that time. What do you reckon?
I think it is, mate. We're thirsty. I'm
Absolutely.
feeling really thirsty, actually.
All right, let's do it. Παιδιά στην υγεία μας.
Cheers, boy.
Salute.
Salute.
Oh, wrong pod. Sorry.
It's okay.
Well, Anthony, I know you're not a big drinker, but we can't have
I
you...
would like to correct that because I'm not a big drinker.
Okay.
I am a very irresponsible, limitless drinker, and I'm trying to be mature in my advancing years. I turned 30 last week.
Whoa.
And
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And Saturday night is just the most horrible blur. Like it was very bad.
So all of your mates who are listening to this now are thinking, not a big drinker? What the fuck's he talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're still recovering from Saturday night?
I wouldn't say that. I'd just say that I'm trying to limit occasions to drink. You know what I mean? Like while the sun's still up, try not to. If it's like you go out for dinner, there's no need to have 6 glasses of wine.
Sure there is.
Yeah. I mean, unless there is a need, you know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
Unless it's been a slow week at the office or whatever.
Yep.
But I don't want to get into just a habit of just drinking for whatever.
Yeah.
That's fair.
No, makes sense.
The level of anxiety that I have when hungover is just...
Yep.
So
epiphany kicks in.
Yeah, big
never
time,
again.
big time.
Yeah.
Big
Drink
time.
responsibly, guys.
Yeah.
What did she mean by that? What did she mean by that?
You're looking through your phone. It's like all these text messages.
What is this? What was that supposed to mean?
Who have I rung?
That's right.
Was that the right emoji there that she sent?
But
We get it.
to answer your ultimate question, this is pretty good. Nothing really tastes like ouzo. People are like, oh, licorice, aniseed. I don't even know what the fuck aniseed is. I just know to say it when you're talking about ouzo. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But that specific ouzo taste, I love it.
Yeah,
and
you're
this tastes like a gin mixture we were saying before.
Yeah.
It's clean, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very clean.
definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, why don't you tell him, Nick?
So
Why
I'll
don't you
just
tell him
scull
what it
this
is? Because this is a very different type of ouzo. We've had a couple of Australian versions, and this is another one, isn't it?
Kumoza, yeah, it's from Tasmania, and our friends are Ritza and Perry Nicholas from all the way from Launceston. I've got a little distillery down there. There's a bit of a story behind it as well. Ritza's dad, back in Lipsey, a little island in the Dedekanese, had a winery and a distillery. He ran the local family distillery in the 1940s, I believe, and he distributed quality ouzo all through Greece and Europe, and ended up leaving Greece and ended up in Tasmania, of all places, one island to the other. And then he had 2 daughters, and one of those daughters is Ritza, and she... I think dusted off old recipes, harassed her mum to tell her the stories of her dad, because that story disappeared from the family, but the wife regurgitated all those stories and she went into distillery, and that's what's happened today. So
with the help of some friends who have a distillery down there as well, apparently. So this is an old recipe that's been sort of melded in with modern techniques from Tasmania, apparently. And it is a very clean ouzo taste, quite spirity as well.
It is. I really like it, Tom. It's actually not cloudy, very spirity.
Yeah, it doesn't cloud up when you add water or
and it's not very aniseedy either as well, which is I actually like. I don't like too much aniseed. I don't like too much of an aperitif, but it's more of a spirity. It's beautiful. It's going down really good.
Well, guys, if you want to have a look, kumozo.com.au. Check the guys out. And Ritza and Perry, thank you so much for sending the bottle our way. We're very appreciative.
Also, they've got a restaurant out there too, Tom. Elea Cafe Restaurant. So if anyone's around in Launceston, it's a great restaurant. Pop in and see them and say good day.
Fantastic. And look, before I forget, we've got to give a shout out to a couple of our listeners. Arthur Karayanis over in Adelaide. Arthur's wife, Andriana, got in touch with us and told us about your marathon session listening to Ouzo Talk between Mildura and Adelaide. So Arthur, Adriana, stiniasas, and thank you so much for listening. This drink's for you guys. Stiniamas.
Cheers, guys. Hope the hat gets to you.
Legends. I'm just shocked that there are Greeks in Tasmania. No one told me. I've got to add a stop on the tour trip next year.
There you go.
From the 1950s, apparently.
That's crazy. I hope all 6 of them come to my show.
Yeah.
Look, if there's one thing we've learned from this podcast is that there's bloody Greeks everywhere.
Yeah, man.
There was a spike in listeners a month or so ago in bloody Pakistan or something.
You're kidding.
Who would have thought?
You're kidding.
There's a small, remote little village, I forget what it was called, and we just saw the hits just popping up. We've hit, 70 countries now?
Over. So there are Greek
70.
bots now, that's what you're telling me.
Probably.
Could be.
Probably.
Yes.
We're choosing to believe they're the descendants of Alexander the Great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they were left over.
Alexander the first bot.
That's it. Well, let me ask you, Anthony, you're blessed to have a papu and a nonno, right? I'm going to go ahead and guess that at least one of them had an illegal distillery in their garage or was making wine or something like that. Did they have it?
Papu was a little bit more of a MacGyver. He'll like you'll go to Papu's house and everything has a purpose that's made out of something else.
This is my papu.
Handmade,
exactly. There's like a vine mover that's made out of broomsticks. There's
all these contraptions and pulleys and levers.
Yeah, but in terms of his alcoholism, Papu likes to go straight to the source.
Okay.
I think I get my drinking escapades from him.
Really?
He loves it.
Okay.
So like last year, it was Papu was trying to get his vaccination certificate. He was trying to get proof of vaccination so you could go to Woolies, whatever. This is during lockdown.
Yep.
And he just couldn't work it out. He's got a smartphone. I've never seen what this smartphone brand is ever anywhere else. Like I know it is a smartphone because I've operated it, but I don't know what the brand it is.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm trying to work it out, and he's got me outside in his garage to try and figure it out. And we figured it out, and I needed to get him a MyGov, and I needed to get him all these different things in order to just get the vaccination certificate on his phone.
Yeah.
And at one point, I've just gotten frustrated because the whole browser just closed, and I'm just gone, fuck. And Papu just can't deal with stress in any capacity. So as soon as I've gone, fuck, he's gone, fuck as well.
Yeah.
And he's just opened up the drawer next to his clamp in the garage and just pulled out the most lukewarm bottle of white wine and just poured it into his coffee cup and just gone for it.
Wow.
So
what a champion.
He doesn't. Well, the point is that he doesn't really have a need for the finer points of the creation of alcohol. He just gets it down.
Yeah.
I think that's a general thing in that generation because everything you just said is my papu down to a T. Everything.
Yeah.
Right definitely. Down to all the the knickknacks that they've made and all that sort of. And all of those things are made for function, not for look.
Yeah, totally. Because they look like shit. It looks like. It looks like
Russian technology.
It looks like a garage sale, but nothing's for sale. You know, everything's just out working together.
Classic. What's his name?
Petro.
Well,
Petro.
That's right. It's my middle name. Petro
wow.
as well. So Petro obviously being a derivative of Petra, so it's
the rock.
from the rock. So I'm Anthony the Rock Locascio.
Fantastic.
Love it. Love it.
That's right, guys. That's
Great
right.
nickname.
We're going to put that in the show.
Rock.
You better.
Anthony the Rock
You
Locascio.
smell what
Australian
Locascio is
version of the
cooking. That's right. That's right.
Classic. Well, we got to ask. Tell us about your heritage now. You sort of touched on your papu. Where's your papu from? We'll talk about you. Is this your mum's or your dad's side?
This is my mum's side.
Your mum's side.
So mum's side is Greek.
Yeah.
Papu's family, it was a big family. He's one of somewhere between 7 and 9 children, depending on who you ask.
Yeah.
And and they're born in Argos. So they're from Argos.
Okay.
Go back a couple of times. Argos is a, let's say, underdeveloped city, but it's it's got its charm to it.
Yeah.
And I was born in a χωριό called Kiato, which is in the same sort of Peloponneso region, but the family have all moved to Neakio now, which is maybe like 20-minute drive from Nafplion.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so all in the mainland. No Maoris in our family. We're no islanders. We're all from the mainland. But conversely, my Italian side, my dad's family, they're all from Sicily. So they're all Maoris. They're all
they're closer to me, mate.
That's exactly right. So I figure if I do one of those 23andMe heritage tests, I'm probably gonna be 100% Greek.
Yeah.
Good chance, actually.
Yeah, Sicilians, it's always there.
Wow. Is there a lot of Greekness you see from the Sicilian side, or is there a lot of stories? What part of Sicily, actually?
My nonno is from a village called Camporeale, and my nonno is from a village called Roccamena. And so the northern part of Sicily especially, it's just hills, and there's a town on this hill, and there's a hill, and there's a town on this hill. Palermo is the capital of Sicily. It's maybe, I don't know, a 20-minute drive away from these hills. And there's Roccamena, hill, Camporeale, hill, and then Corleone, hill, which is the Godfather town. So
and they all hate each other.
They all hate each other. They all think they're so different to each other.
But they're all the same.
My goat and my donkey are better than your goat and your donkey. But also, you should marry my daughter if you're going to give me your donkey. It's that kind of a vibe. Wow. And there are a whole bunch of Greek ruins in Sicily. So there was a lot of settlement. And I don't know if you know, but then the Venetians settled in Kythera. So there's like my stepdad is from Kythera, so we always say that he's more Italian than I am, and I'm more Greek than he is.
Wow. Well, Corfu's dotted
Very
with
Venetian.
That's right.
Yeah. Even where I'm from in Ipito, the whole coastline is all Venetian castles as well. So we're all interbred.
Big WOG energy.
That's right. Yeah. Well, if you do that ancestry.com stuff. They say the Greeks and the Southern Italians they put you in the same bucket because we're all the same.
Well, I've been put in the same bucket for my whole life anyway. That's kind of the basis of my new show, which you guys should go and watch.
Yeah, we will.
That's
definitely.
I don't know if you guys want me to extrapolate on the show at all, but
please
go
do.
For it.
I'm sure it's something that both of you're both born in Australia, I assume. Yeah.
Yep.
It's something that I think we've all experienced to a certain degree, and I mean, I love the concept for this podcast. I think it's awesome because A, there's absolutely nothing like this that I've heard of, and B, Greek diaspora generally it's fucking everywhere. You can't go anywhere without there being
We've
Greeks.
learned that.
You know, I've got an Italian surname, but as far as any Greeks are concerned, he's the Greek comedian. You know,
100%.
I've been in the Herald. I've been in the Greek Herald. I've been in Neos Cosmos, and it's always Greek Australian. You know what I mean? So anything that Greeks can even find a little bit of a tether to our heritage about, it's ours. We invented
claim
it. Locascio, we made him.
100%.
The Cosmos in there, one of us.
Exactly, the Cosmos.
Yeah.
So,
Well, do you identify more with one cultural background than the other?
No,
or is it a bit the same?
I identify as being both.
Yeah,
you know,
good.
which is not half, not a certain mix of. I identify as having very strong roots to both cultures because I do. You know, I've been to both of the countries many times.
Yeah.
We really have tried. I mean, both my parents did a really good job of it, but even within the wider families, we do so much to maintain that heritage. And Greeks are generally very good at that, I think. Italians are a little bit more likely to assimilate a bit quicker, I find. And I don't really know what that is. But, you know, if anybody knows at home, send us an email.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, because it could be that the Greeks were occupied for 400 years, so we still got that in us.
There seems to be this thing in us where it's like, we can't lose this.
Yeah.
You know, and the biggest fear, I can't remember who was saying it to us, the biggest fear that Greeks had when they came here was that their kids would not be Greek. And that kind of gets instilled in us. I think that's kind of true.
Do you know what it might also be, at least when compared to Italians, is that if you're a Sicilian and you're meeting, like an actual Sicilian, and you're meeting somebody from Piemonte or somebody from Veneto in the north, you're effectively a totally different thing to them. You know, they're not as unified. Whereas Greece, no matter where you're from, it's Greek.
It's
Even
true.
if you're a Masso, no, they're Greek. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So I think that when Greeks came to, whether it's the UK, whether it's America, whether it's here, all you need to do is meet somebody from Greece and you're soy all of a sudden. You know what I mean? You don't need to be from the same place.
Yep.
So to roundabout way to talk about my show, I imagine this is something that we've all been through.
Yep.
I've had these labels throughout my life: Greek kid, Italian kid, whatever.
Yeah.
And I've always kind of felt that even though these are very easily accessible beacons of who I am, if anything, they just form the shell of my identity. And I find a lot in my life, and especially growing up, you get stereotyped based on these things. Oh, you must be this way because of your heritage. You must eat this. You must wear that. You must.
Great point.
And I've always felt that that's really reductive. I've always felt that that's really overly simplistic. I don't think a person's ethnic background is something that defines who they are to their core. It's impossible. We're all different. And so I felt that at school, because the school that I went to wasn't primarily, it was primarily, you know, Anglos, white kids, Aussies.
Yep.
You know, I'd cop, your dad's in the mafia and shit like that, which isn't, it's not horrible.
It's not untrue.
Yeah. First rule of Fight Club, all right?
Exactly.
All right, Tom, I don't think you're going to get out of your life.
Definitely not.
Yeah. No, look, I understand exactly what you're saying, because we're all the same as well. You know, I felt being Greek, you're doing that because you're Greek. Or you're Greek, you must be like that. And they've already been labelled just by saying hi to someone. Yeah, I've been hearing that my whole life, even my work life. You know, it was like that. Straight away, you're this, you're X, you're Y, because that's what Greeks like. And you're like that, you're Greek, you must be like that.
This was what I experienced a lot. And then being Italian and Greek, it's like, it's almost like people have an extra excuse to broadly stereotype, because people that aren't Greek and Italian, they think we're the same shit. You know, they think it's the same. I'm here to tell you it's not the same. If anybody knows it's me, it's not the same. And so I experienced that throughout my life, and then finished school, went to uni, started working in the jobs that I was doing before I started comedy, and then started comedy. And in comedy, I felt it was almost exactly the same experience as when I was on the playground at school.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I would do, my first hour that I did was called Worst of Both Worlds, loosely based on the fact that I am Greek and Italian, but I honestly think only maybe 50-60% of the material in that show was about my ethnicity. There was a whole lot of other stuff, personal, my family, working at a cafe, all this kind of stuff. But because of that little tiny painting of the show with that ethnic appellation, I'm all of a sudden the new Greek Italian comedian. I'm all of a sudden, it's the next Joe Avardi, it's George Kapiniaris, it's Wog Boy, and I hated it. I hated it so much because I felt like a fraud doing any other material. And this show this new one, this kind of parallels those two experiences. They're the same.
Yeah.
And that just shows me that the way people treat ethnicity generally, it's just a really easy way to try and understand who somebody is.
Yeah.
But that's so lazy.
I mean, you mentioned some of those comedians in there, you know, your Joe Avardis, Nick Giannopoulos, George Kapiniaris, you know, Mary Koustas, you know, you got the likes of Sushi Mango now and all that sort of thing. In light of what you've just said, do any of these things bother you at all, or aspects of it?
Like I said, I am a WOG, so my fundamental programming tells me, bro, you make your money how you got to make your fucking money. I don't care what
Because I read one review where they were saying something like, okay, it's called Don't Call Me a Wog, but it's not what you expect.
Yeah.
Part of them expected that you would rage against that sort of thing.
My plan was, my kind of covert plan was to call it Don't Call Me a Wog, have the word WOG in there, signal to all the Greeks and Italians and the Croatians and Lebos, whatever, across the country, hey, this is your kind of shit, come and listen. And then once they were in there and they were trapped, I told this story that has to do with that, but it's not like they've seen it before. It's not like Joe does it. It's not like George. And I love all of these guys. Don't get me wrong. I've done so many shows with all of them so many times. They've mentored me in a lot of ways. I don't want to do them. I don't want to be the next version of them. I might want to be the next version of, you know, that kind of humor, but it's going to look totally different. My next show could completely destroy my career because I'm planning to go to all the cities again, and I hope that all the people that came to see the show last year, you know, a lot of people really enjoyed it. I got a lot of really nice messages, but they were a lot of Greeks and Italians, and I hope that they come back next year and see a show that's not about the ethnicity at all, but they appreciate it nonetheless, because that's not, and I think I made it quite clear that that's not who I am with this particular show. But those guys are incredible. You know, Joe, I opened for Joe. I did my show at the Sydney Comedy Festival at the Factory Theatre in Marrickville in May, and it was the biggest solo show I've ever done. I did the 500-seater at the Factory in Marrickville, which is for a person of my level is just astonishing. Huge. Very, very good for me. And I'm like, I'm the man. 500 people, whatever.
Good idea.
And then the night after, Joe Avardi wanted me to open for him, so he flew me out to Melbourne. and he flew me out to open for him at the Palais Theatre in St Kilda, which is 3,000 people.
Wow.
And he had sold that out twice in one day. He had a matinee, he had a 4 p.m. show, and then a 8 p.m. show. This guy did 6,000 people, and I'm like, oh, I'm a fucking loser, man.
Well, how was that experience, to open for Joe, in front of that many people?
It was great. I've opened for Joe quite a few times. This was probably I nailed it this time, because every other time I've tried to package the who I am into a neat little kind of 20-minute segment. And by doing that, I come in and I'm like, Greek and Italian. Who's a Greek here? Who's Italian here? They're like, yeah. And then I start doing things about dating apps and relationships and whatever. And they're just like, nah. Tzatziki, panettone. That's what we're here to hear about.
Really? Okay.
And so when I do these shows, you just got to do WOG stuff. Yeah. And that's okay. That's an extra string to my bow. It's a part of who I am. Yeah. I did 25 minutes for him that night. That 25 minutes was all ethnic stuff. And that's cool.
Be you trying to branch away from that now, or do a combination of both?
Yes and no. I don't want to be that guy. I have a lot of material that's about that. I'm happy for people to associate me as that. If they want, come and see my show. It's going to be different. If you like me, you'll like the show. Okay. If you like me because I have these flags behind me, then that's okay. You don't have to come back. The show before Don't Call Me a Wog is Confirmation. Yep. That's available on Amazon Prime and Apple TV if anybody's listening at home. That has nothing to do with my ethnicity at all. That's about a breakup that I went through. That's about a whole bunch of that kind of stuff. And even after I did that show, it's like, hey, the Wog guy. I do the Wog jokes. And I'm like I remember coming out in this one show that I did in Sydney in Enmore, and I was wearing like a leather jacket. It was cold, and I was wearing a leather jacket, and I came out of the show, and all the comedians are hanging around having a cigarette outside, and I just walked out just in a leather jacket, and this other comedian turned around to me without me saying anything. He was like, "Could you be any more Greek?" Yeah, and I'm like. Like, I don't think we have all rights reserved to leather jackets. You know what I mean? So that pissed me off, and this current show was a kind of distillery of that frustration.
Right.
Wow.
But yes, in case my ramble has given the wrong impression, Joe, George, all those guys, incredible.
They really are.
And they've laid the pavement. They've laid the pavement for what we can enjoy and what we can and can't see in comedy in this country.
Sure.
But I will say one anecdote. Then we'll stop talking about the other comedians. So I was in Melbourne for the comedy festival this year, and I was really enjoying Melbourne Comedy Festival. Was the time of my life. This year I did 10 shows. Most of them sold out. The audiences were great. They just, in Melbourne, it goes without say, but they do just have an appreciation for the arts that is not prevalent in any other city in this country. Sure. They just get it. So they were coming, they were loving it. But there was one night where I did a really early show, like I did a 5 p.m. show, and it didn't really go that well. And doing an hour is different to what we do normally, like on any given.
But so what does it mean? It doesn't go well. So you're up there, the laughter's not there, or
the
you're not
laughter's
feeling
not
it,
as much
vibe.
as not feeling the energy as much from the crowd. Just not as good as it could have gone. The laughter ratio is like for one out of every 2 jokes will get a good laugh.
Right. Okay.
Then they'll just get a little bit of a snicker, and then you get frustrated, and it just feels a little bit different. And of course, I hold myself to a high standard, so I'll think a lot of shows that go good will be shit, and I'm like, fuck this, I'm going to quit. But, you just keep going back like any abusive relationship. No, it's a pathological abusive relationship syndrome. It's just like, give me more pain.
But is that part of what drives you, though? Or is it part of what you think drives a lot of comedians, the fear of bombing in a lot of respects?
For sure. You're only as good as your last show, unfortunately. And unfortunately every show is a referendum on your self-worth, and you just keep doing it, because when you do great, it's like Hercules. Wow. And then when you do bad, you're like, okay, my mother was right, fine. So anyway, I did this show, and it didn't go as well as I was hoping. And I'd just done 6 shows in Adelaide, 10. Well, I was in the middle of doing 10 shows in Melbourne, and I just wanted to go to a club, and I just wanted to do 10 minutes of just jokes, just pure comedy. Don't want to do this WOG shit. Don't want to do an hour. Don't want to be performing like this. Fuck this wog shit. Don't want to do this. Whatever. The next night, I didn't have a show of mine, so I went and did a club set in the city in Melbourne, and I did that. I did 10 minutes, smashed it, did my best 10, very happy, handed out flyers to all the people afterwards. I'm very happy with this. This is great. This feels more like comedy. Fuck this wog shit. I don't want to do this shit anymore. I'm good.
Yeah.
Don't worry. And I leave, and I'm going back to the car, and I'm about to cross the road, and I almost get run over by this gold Porsche Cayenne. Like, it almost like hits me, and I have to jump, holding my flyers, don't call me a wog, on this sort of this floating feeling of I don't need to be a wog to be successful in comedy. And I look in the windshield of the gold Porsche Cayenne, and who is it? None other than Nick Giannopoulos, the wog boy.
Wow.
looking out at the red light, like with that look that like looking up at it, like, is it red? And it was almost like my life was at a physical and metaphysical crossroads, because it's like you can not do the wog stuff, that's fine, and you can be happy just walking to the ute, or you can go and do the wog stuff, and then you can drive the Porsche Cayenne.
Wow.
So it was a real kind of
story.
The true embodiment of everything you were feeling.
Yeah. It was full on. It was
and
full
all
on.
just by crossing the road.
Just crossing the road. Legally, I'll say I wasn't trying to jaywalk.
Jaywalking?
Yeah, they really care about jaywalking in Melbourne.
Yeah, do they really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
Is it because of the trams and shit? Or?
Because they got no business. You know what I mean? They got nowhere to be in a hurry. They don't get it. They just got kombucha shops to open up. They're not in a hurry. No one's making money.
Well, you mentioned your mum just before. You know, was your parents supportive of you going into comedy, or was there a stigma associated with it at all? You know,
As you can imagine, both first gen Aussies. Yep. You don't get to tell your immigrant parents or grandparents, "Hey, I'm going to do a career in the arts." Doesn't work that way. It's like, nah.
Yep.
Pick up the wheelbarrow, you know. So
that's real work.
Yeah, that's right. So I
Gilles Vlaka.
exactly. You're not even going to get a response. So I didn't even, it didn't even cross my mind that I could do a career like this.
Yeah.
I watched Eddie Murphy's Raw when I was 11, and I'm like, this is the coolest shit I've ever seen in my life. But I never conceived that it would be something that I could do until I went to uni and I did the corporate path, and I was miserable. My mental health was generally just horrible.
What did you study?
I studied law, and I ended up in the insolvency industry, so bankruptcies, liquidations.
Riveting.
Absolutely heartwarming kind of stuff.
Okay.
And I just ran out of reasons to not try to do this. So for a year, I was doing both of them together, and then after a year, I said, I don't want to do this soul-sucking stuff anymore. I think I can make a real hash of comedy. Initially, my parents are obviously quite skeptical. But then my mum at first saw how serious I was about it and how well prepared I was for it. And she was like, yep, all right, if this is it, this is it. She gets a little bit too intense about it. She's like, why aren't you calling Hollywood? What is this? What are you doing? Get off your ass. Steven Spielberg's waiting for you. But yeah, and my dad...
The best kind of cheerleader.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Just like...
Always got your back.
It's 4:00 in the morning. Hey, what's going on? Why aren't you on stage right now? Because it's 4:00 in the morning. It doesn't matter. There's a stage somewhere.
Does she give you ideas as well?
All the time. I really think you should do jokes about this. I'm like, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. No.
Have you ever taken them on?
No. No.
Yeah.
Keep pitching though, right?
Yeah. No. Please stop it. If you're listening, Mum, stop pitching. It's enough's enough.
What's your mum's name?
Asimina. She's in Greece. She's in Greece right now.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
She's living the life.
She's living the life. She also doesn't know how to operate the Apple Podcast app, so she'll never hear this. And my dad, he's on the wait and see boat. We'll see how this goes. And even still, and I think if I get to 35 years old or 40 years old, and I'm still kind of at the same spot as I was 5 years earlier, I think he'll probably say to me, "Hey, it's time for you to pick up the fucking wheelbarrow." But for now, it's going well enough that he's happy.
Well, Angelo Saroukas, we had him sitting in the same chair you're sitting, probably the same mic.
And it's still standing. Wow.
Yeah. And he's Should we say his age? I think he's over 50.
Yeah,
he's got to be
he
50.
He is.
Yeah,
definitely.
so he's still kicking, and we follow him on Instagram and say, well, mate, he's doing really well. So there's definitely a longevity in this career path that you've taken.
He does work hard.
Perhaps just not in this country, to be honest. It's hard. Who are the most successful comedians you guys have heard of
In this country?
Yeah.
Jeez, that's a tough question. The first one that comes to mind is Carl Barron, and that was years ago.
Yep. Carl Barron's still touring. He's still probably the most popular comic in this country, and in fact, the only comic that's made it off the back of his stand-up comedy.
Yeah, right.
Because the other ones are your Will Anderson, your Dave Hughes, Kitty Flanagan, and these people.
Sure.
These people are all in their 40s. These people have all made their bones doing other forms of television or radio or something. Because the facility in this country for you to just go stand up, really just stand up. Okay, you get the syndication, you get some kind of TV based on it, and then you can just be a touring comedian. It doesn't really happen in this country the way it does in the UK and the US.
So you've got to hit the US then, I guess, for an Australian comedian to make it.
Or the UK,
Or
I
the
think.
UK.
Yeah, just got to move at some point, and that's definitely on the cards for me at some point.
Yeah.
But I've still got soccer training to do here, as in metaphorical soccer training.
Fantastic.
I've still got drills to run.
And we nearly had a coincidence today.
Yeah, we did.
My son's school, I guess we can mention it, Waverley College, was playing
Sydney Grammar.
Sydney Grammar today.
I would have been coaching. Well, your son plays rugby.
Yeah, he plays rugby, but yeah,
you may have
you're
crossed
right.
paths
How many
today
times
anyway.
did you drop your son on his head to make him play rugby?
None.
None?
Yeah. I got them both in soccer.
Yeah.
And they were like under fives. I was their coach for the first 5-6 years. I coached both kids. And then the youngest, because I had a passion, I played rugby league growing up.
There's the head trauma.
Yeah, that's what it was. Too many head-high tackles coming out of their bedroom, maybe. But
Nice.
yeah, but that's what it was. Yeah, he wanted to play. The eldest, he did play the league at primary school, I think, but he loves soccer.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And your wife's Italian, that's right?
Your partner, yeah.
Your partner's Italian?
Yeah.
So the kids...
I've been married, divorced.
Okay.
Yeah, so the kid's mum's Greek.
Okay.
But I've got a new partner. Yeah,
Okay,
Italian.
nice. Any plans for kids? The new
Nah,
This is all getting cut out because they're going to be gorgeous if you have half Greek, half Italian kids.
You reckon? Yeah. Hey.
Exhibit A.
Yeah, exactly. And she's half Sicilian as well.
Oh, my goodness.
From Trapani.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Is that
Excellent.
near where you're from, Trapani?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, everything in Sicily is kind
It's
of
close.
near us. So we drove the whole thing a couple of years ago. We just me and my dad and my sister went and we just did the whole thing. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's like Greece but Italian.
Yeah.
Honestly, it looks like a big chorizo.
Yeah, exactly. Well, she says the same thing. When we eat, she's like, well, that's Sicilian food. Well, that's Italian food. I go, well, that's Greek food. And when I go to her parents' place, the food's very similar. And even some of the words are similar.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
And do you know what else is kind of weird? My stepmother's from Veneto, which is way north. And their dialect, because that's another difference I think between the two diasporas, I guess, is that because Italian has such varying dialects, like if you hear Sicilian, it sounds absolutely nothing like Italian. My grandparents speak it. It's the thickest, almost Portuguese sounding language. It's so different. In Greece, it's Greek. That's it.
Yeah. Unless you go to Cyprus.
Sorry.
Well, there's differences. I mean, in Corfu, for example, we have a lot of Italian words that we utilize still.
But for the most part, though,
everyone can communicate.
Yeah,
definitely.
In Veneto, they have some pieces of dialect that are Greek. Like a fork in Italian is a forchetta. In Veneto, they call it piron.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's so weird how all of that has unfolded.
Yeah.
But it's cool.
Yeah,
It's
it
all
is.
very
Part
cool.
of the story.
It is.
Yeah.
No, and we love it.
Does Tsurikas follow you guys back on Instagram? Does he follow Ouzo Talk?
He does. Yeah, he
Yeah,
does.
follow me back, motherfucker. I'm following you for years. We met recently. What are you doing, bro? Help a brother out. I'm coming to Canada.
We've just thrown him under the bus.
Under the bus.
He's in LA.
He's
We'll
in
give his
LA,
details.
Nah.
He lives in Hollywood.
That's fine. I'll get him.
You'll get it.
He's a
I'll get
champion.
it.
You know
He's
what
a
he
champion.
does? He always wears the cap. Actually,
Yeah, he's
we
been
got to
wearing
give Anthony a cap.
We do.
He does all these clips on Instagram. He always puts the cap on. He
Ouzo
loves it.
Talk?
Yeah.
Legend.
Yeah.
Legend.
Always gives us a plug.
And you guys had Mary on as well.
We did.
Mary as well.
I opened
yeah.
for Mary 3 or 4 times a few years ago. She's the
lovely.
best.
There you go.
She's the best. Just such a thoughtful, such a switched on person.
Yeah,
She's
absolutely.
so funny. She's so smart. She's awesome.
Classic.
Yeah,
See,
came
Tom?
across.
So he's interviewing us now.
Yeah,
Did
absolutely,
you realise
yeah,
how I just changed?
Step into my web.
He's a champion. But I want to get back to your Greek and Italian heritage now. Who had the best gardens? Was it the Greek side? Nonno, by far.
Nonno's garden was unbelievable.
Really?
He had everything. Yeah. Because my nonna passed away about 13 years ago now, and they used to have a big house. Now he just lives by himself. He doesn't. His garden is still pretty good, but it's not what it used to be. He had everything. Papu's got a few herbs, but Nonno had just...
Really?
Yeah, it was Jumanji. It was...
Are you kidding?
It was sick. And one time I was 6, my cousin was 4, and we were playing Men in Black in the backyard, and we were hiding from the aliens, and we jumped in one of the bushes, jumped in the chili bush. And if you're anywhere near that kind of chili splatter, and it goes in your eyes, I've had ankle reconstructions. Nowhere near as painful as getting the chili in my eyes. That was horrible. And all the women are freaking out in the family. They're like, they're going to go blind, whatever they're going to do. They're freaking out. Nonno was just like, that's what you get for going in my chili.
Classic.
He didn't give a fuck.
He probably warned you 20 times.
Yeah.
And probably hit you on top of it as well.
The bandofla.
The bandofla was your Yaz weapon of choice.
Okay.
Nonno was a belt guy.
Oh, right. That was my next question. What was their weapon of choice?
Papu never violent. Never. There was never any kind of physical punishment. But yeah, Nonno. I don't think Nonno belted me once, but he used to do the
attempt.
I'm getting ready.
And you just know at that point. It's like the gun clicker. And that's all you need to do. But padofles.
Really?
Padofles, like...
Classic.
Absolutely. Like
heat-seeking.
That's right. Boomerang.
She
was really classic. Good. Yeah, I had the same stories, back at my parents' house. They used to have this white powder on their fucking tomatoes. I don't know what it was. And we'd go in there.
Midzithra.
Is that what it was?
Midzithra,
oh, fucking hell. We'd play cricket, and every time the ball got into the fucking garden, they'd lose it because we'd trying to find our bloody tennis ball, and the tomato would drop off, and there'd be dust and shit everywhere, and we'd get rashes, and I could definitely reminisce to what you're saying. And what was the poison ivy called?
I have PTSD when I go into Big W and I see the slippers section.
Oh, really?
Flashbacks, like I'm in Vietnam, freaking out.
Is it called Xenobitha? What's the
poison?
poison ivy.
Oh, the poison ivy. I'm not sure.
Did you ever have that?
No,
mate, it was fucked. You walk past, just has to brush your shin, just touch your shin.
Oh my god!
And you'd be scratching forever. And the only cure was, I think, vinegar or lemon juice.
And this was in your backyard.
If it was my papu, the cure would be Listerine.
Oh yeah.
Or papu's vazi Listerine, stapada.
Yeah.
Papu.
That's the weapon.
Like
that's
the weapon of choice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like sore knee, Listerine. The broken fingernail. Listerine to pediu, he loves it. He's like,
my dad's a bit like that with Listerine, actually. Every member of the family has their own go-to.
That's right.
Dad's got the Listerine or salt water. My yaya, it's all about Vaseline. Mm-hmm. And my papu is all about methylated spirits.
Yep, that's my yaya.
Yeah.
The mentholated spirits. And because of yaya, I thought that for my whole life, literally until like months ago, I thought it was called...
Months ago.
Honestly, I didn't clue into it. I thought that it was called mentholated spirits, like menthol.
Yeah.
It's methylated. So I don't even know that word because I just heard you. Mentholate, and I just thought that's what it was called.
It's got indoctrinated over the years.
Well, why would you question it? You know what I mean? Like I thought until I was 10 that my yaya's first name was Yineka because like
that's what you called her.
Yeah, well, I didn't call her, but that's what Papu called her, and I called her Yaya. My mum called her Mum, whatever. So the only time I'd ever heard her be called something other than Mum and Yaya is Yuneka, and so oh my god, that's her name. And they'd come over and they'd be like, Evdoxia, what a nice house you have, and I'm like, the fuck's Evdoxia? What are you talking about?
What a classic.
Yeah.
Yuneka. I think you say that to Dimitris sometimes.
I wouldn't dare.
Hey?
I wouldn't dare. What did you just say?
Dubus? Hello.
It's a one-way ticket to sleeping on the couch.
It is. It is. No,
classic.
Love it. Where did you grow up and go to school? I mean, you mentioned that you went to Sydney Grammar. Where did you grow up though?
So my parents, this is a pretty woggy thing as well. My dad's a builder. My dad is a construction company, and my mum's like a property guru. And so we moved every 6 months when I was a kid. Right. I've lived in 32 different houses in my life. Because they would buy a house, buy a shitbox, make it into a nice house while we were living there.
Yep.
Flip, repeat.
Yeah,
And then
right.
when they got divorced, they kept doing it. Both of them kept doing it individually, and then they'd flip me between the two. So that's how I've lived in so many houses. So area-wise, it's been everywhere. I was born in Matraville.
My area.
Then we did Lurline Bay, Maroubra, Pagewood, Botany.
Wow.
Dad's business started doing well, so we were Rose Bay, Vaucluse, Dover Heights.
Shit.
And then family falls apart, and it's like Abbotsford and Gladesville, Concord. Putney is where it is. Putney is now the haunt for all of my family. It's everybody loves Raymond over there. My dad lives there. His brother lives there. His sister lives there, and Nonno lives there. They're all all around the corner from each other. And then I'm now in Rosebery.
Okay,
Wow.
well, still,
You going to ask him if he's a South Sydney supporter? Or
we better be from that in that area. He's not interested.
Unfortunately, rugby league is for the weak. So I am a de facto Tigers supporter, though.
Okay.
That's why I don't like rugby league, because I'm a Tigers supporter, which means rugby league doesn't like me.
Fair enough. Okay, well,
Classic.
we understand that.
You guys both up the bunnies?
Nah, Dragons.
Okay. Well, it had to be one.
Georgia.
If you're Greek, it had to be one.
Yeah.
That or the Bulldogs. The blue
Yeah,
and
there's
white.
a few of those too.
Yeah. I've heard you now say a few Greek words. Tell us, how did you learn Greek so well? You know, born and bred in Australia with an Italian dad.
We lived with Yaya for maybe a year when I was really little, and Yaya and Papu, they had a big kind of influence on my early life. So I had a good baseline of Greek as I was growing up.
That seems to be the thing, Yayan Papu, when it comes to learning the language. I was the same, because I grew up living with Yayan Papu, and my brother didn't, and he's got no Greek whatsoever, virtually. Anyway.
That's the telling thing, honestly, because around this time, my sister's 4 years younger than me.
Yeah.
Her Greek growing up wasn't anywhere near as good as mine, because she was just a bit too young at this point.
Yeah,
and
right.
that's it, because she just didn't have
There
that
you go.
Yayan Papu influence.
Yeah.
So the baseline for the language was good enough. And then when my parents got divorced, my mum started spending a lot more time in Greece, and she became very, very close with her first cousin, who then decided to move to Australia to kind of help us. And he was my father figure in this teenage period. You know, I didn't see my dad as much. This guy lived with us. He spoke no English.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing. So he was like my best friend in this period. So
Kidding.
I just learned how to speak Greek like a Greek at this point in my life. I think it's deteriorated a little bit throughout the years because I don't have that influence in my life anymore, but it's still there. You know, I still know how to hold my own. But the thing is, I never went to Greek school, so I don't really know. I can read, but I can't write.
Okay.
Can't write in Greek, and I guess the formal learning isn't quite there. I guess I speak like a street thug to some degree.
Yeah.
And the other thing, which I think is quite funny, it's quite important, is that your language appreciation is only ever a time capsule of the time that you learnt it. If you're learning from somebody else,
That's true.
Like
actually.
in Australia, we know how to speak because we watch idiom and colloquialisms change as we socialize. But I learned how to speak Greek from a guy that was from Greece in 2008.
Yeah.
So my idiom is 2008 idiom in Greece.
Okay,
So if I go back to Greece, I'm walking around saying the equivalent of like, it's Britney, bitch. You know, I'm not contemporary. I'm not up to date.
very
They're like,
true.
the fuck's this
Wow.
guy?
Yeah.
Great analogy.
And to that point, that's
Yeah.
why I think you struggle if you've gone to Greek school here and you've learned Greek from somebody that hasn't been back to Greece since 1972.
Yeah.
And you go to Greece, it's almost like you don't really know how to communicate.
Yeah.
You know how to talk. You know how to say "Θέλω ένα κομμάτι τυρί, σε παρακαλώ," but you don't know how
Conversational
to
Greek.
Exactly,
Yeah, is not
exactly.
Yeah.
Which is a thing. It's very important. I speak Italian really well as well. I did Italian at a really high level at school.
Yep.
Wow.
So I can speak Italian quite well. But when I go over there, I'm lost. I don't know how to like be. You know, like a mugger, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
how to be me in that
Yeah.
language.
Yeah.
In Greek, I can come close,
Yeah.
but not the same.
That's something that I learned when I started going back there regularly. Because I thought, you know, I was pretty top shit with my Greek until I went there. And then my cousins were like,
It is good.
"You're Greek shit." This was back in like 2007 when I first started going by myself. And then, you know, so I thought, all right, so I've got some work to do here. And slowly, I mean, it feels like you don't get any better unless you're there. And, conversing and whatnot. It helps having a Greek wife, though, let me tell you.
Your Greek's good. Hearing you on that Greek radio station.
My Greek is nothing like it was back then. My Greek now is...
I'm talking like a couple of months ago. Last week.
I mean, compared to 2007.
A couple of months, man.
Yeah. No, I'm comparing it back to 2007. My Greek back then, by comparison, was pretty poor.
See,
I thought it was good.
My Greek, I thought I could speak Greek until I got there. I thought, fuck, I don't know when you.
Here we go.
I feel like a xeno.
Yeah, but do you know what's interesting though? Even though the changes are so different, you find like the evolution kind of stays the same because you speak to old Greek guys here that they're like my papa's generation. And they've been living here. They've been back 3 times, but they've been living here for 50 years.
Yeah.
And you get old guys in Greece, the taverna. They're kind of the same guy. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And we all know him.
It's like, how did you guys end up the same thing? What, you know what I mean? This guy hasn't been home.
I just had that exact conversation with someone in my village a few weeks ago. But
Brighton.
No, the suburb that he mentioned was Randwick. I'm like, okay, interesting.
Randwick aqui, está fanaria.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. But what does it feel like when you go back? I mean, you mentioned, driving with your dad and your sister, in Italy. What do you feel when you're over there?
Yeah, I think I will.
Oh, he's going to top up. We've got him over the line.
We've got him now.
Thank you.
That's it. The stories are going to get better.
There you go. Yamas, boys.
Yamas.
Tom?
Here we go. No, I'm good. I've topped myself up.
Entoni.
Bravo.
Thanks, Kumozo.
Aftain. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, Surica.
This is getting unhinged the more we go.
Going back. So I went to Italy in 2018. This is the last time I went to either of the places. It's good. I don't feel as. I suppose this is a difference. I don't feel as tethered to Italy as I do to Greece.
Really?
I've been to Greece far more than I have to Italy. All of my family are sort of in the same area, so it's and we have had relationships with them. My Italian relatives, we only really see them when we go there. Sometimes they'll come here, but we don't really have interpersonal relationships that much. And half of them are in Sicily. But the other half, while being Sicilian, they've moved to Torino, so they moved to the very top.
Okay.
So you have to go to 2 different places.
Okay.
So I don't.
Is that where Juventus is from?
You want to see my tattoo?
You got a tattoo?
Have you got
I've got a Juventus tattoo. Yeah.
Where is it first?
Where is it? It's not appropriate for camera.
Okay,
No, it's on my wrist. So I don't feel as kind of tethered to it. But when I go to Greece, we went so much when I was a kid. I haven't been since 2016 actually, but because I have that, I don't know, that Greekness in me from living with my uncle, from appreciating that kind of working class attitude to life, I go and I feel a little bit more at home.
Yeah, right.
And it helps that it's so ubiquitous. All of the classic things are everywhere. It's the same tablecloth. It's the same salt and pepper shaker and little thing with the vinegar and the oil. It's the same wooden chairs at every beachside taverna, whether you're in Crete, whether you're in Xeropigado, which is on the mainland, which is where my mum has her house near Argos, whether you're there or anywhere else, it's the same feeling.
Same supplier.
It's the same guy. Same truck. Carecles!
Carpuzia.
Peponia. Fresca.
Nick's dying.
Yeah.
Did it go up your nose?
Nearly.
So I do. I love it, and I haven't been since 2016, and I'm going next month, and I can't wait.
Wow.
So what's the plan? Where are you hitting?
Well, my partner, she's Malaysian and Australian, so she's never even conceived of going to Greece before. And honestly, the trips are more for her. As much as I'm super excited, I really want to show her Greece because it's a part of me. Unfortunately, she's got a new job, so she only got 2 weeks of leave, which is not enough.
Definitely not enough.
But it'll do.
Yeah.
So we're going to land. We're going to do Athens for a few days. I don't like to spend that much time in Athens generally, but I feel like you have to. If it's your first time, you got to go.
When was the last time you were in Athens?
In 2016, I think we might have spent 1 or 2 days there. So,
So it's come a long way, Athens.
yeah.
It's actually a great city.
Okay.
Yeah, it's...
See, everyone has the same first impression of Athens, and I did too when I started going by myself. It's just like, this is a shithole.
Yeah.
It's just, concrete jungle and, there's the odd archaeological site and whatnot.
But once
it
you
has
know
come
where
a
to go,
long way.
like the Baraka, the underground Buzuki bars and all
That's
that
what
sort
it
of
is.
stuff.
Oh, I'm going to have to get a list then.
Yeah, it's cool. Like I went recently. Actually, when did I go? Actually, I went with Chrissy. Yeah, she likes, what's his name? Eros, the singer. Mamorossi? No. What's his name?
Eros Ramazzotti.
Yeah.
He was in Athens.
He was in Athens in
Fucking sellout.
2019. Yeah, so she was a big fan.
He would be popular, actually. Eros Ramazzotti's done a few songs with Greek singers, so I think he's got a founding.
Oh, he's like that 1990s singer, but he's still carrying on to that legacy.
Most iconic voice ever.
Yeah.
Sono
Yeah.
Come stai?
But Athens was a great city. The bars, the people, the atmosphere. It was just vibing. The beaches.
All right, I'm looking forward to
You
it.
got to go to the beaches as well.
I don't know if we're going to though, because we might go to Glyfada maybe just to show my partner, but we're going to Zakynthos immediately afterwards.
Well, that's
a good start.
Yeah, go there.
So I think
You can't go wrong in Greece. As a
Show her the
city, it's
postcards.
great.
you really can't go wrong.
Nah.
But I've never been to Zakynthos before.
Yeah.
Because
It's
it's on the wrong side. No, you won't get Mykonos, Santorini. Do
No,
all
it's the right side.
You reckon?
That's a great site. I
Yeah.
love it.
I'm really looking forward to
Lefkada, Kefalonia, my God.
Yeah. I've heard amazing.
All the
things, so-
Abdanis are, mate. It's beautiful. And it's different because, number one, they're green, which they're not on that other side. And you've got that this awesome mix between the French, Venetian, and Greek architecture.
Yeah, right.
It's just fantastic. And it's such a great start. If you've never been to Europe before, I just think it's a great place to start.
Okay.
You got to go to Antipaxo. That is the cleanest
Paxos.
water. Is it Paxos?
Okay.
It should be number one on your list. Zakynthos is great, but Antipaxos. Actually, we need Peter Menaeus here.
Yeah, Peter.
Well,
Peter will
look,
give you a
the
list.
the trip said, but we'll do a next time list for sure.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna be there for about 4 days, and then the last leg, my mum's there now. She's got a house in Xiropigado, which is a little village near Astros. I don't know if you guys in Peloponneso, and we're just gonna be there for the next 7 days, the last 7 days, and. We'll she's got a car, so we'll go around to Nafplion. We'll go and visit family.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Like you say, you can't go wrong.
Nah.
You mentioned Greek singers just before. I saw on your Instagram a picture with Adoni Remo. Tell us about that. How did that come about?
I was fundamentally obsessed with Adonis Remos when I was probably 16 to maybe about a week ago, and I've got one of his songs tattooed here.
Do you really?
Yep.
Wow.
You got to show us.
I'll show you later. Not now. Not for you guys. Sign up to Patreon to find out what the tattoo says. Was and to a certain extent still am huge into Greek music when I was a teenager. Obviously my uncle's influence. I've seen Remo 5 times before.
Far out.
So then that night he was at the Croatia club in Punch Bowl.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And went and saw him, and I barged my way to the front, got on stage with him, grabbed him.
Yeah.
And I said, "You know who I am, cunt."
I'm Italian.
I actually didn't have anything to say. I was so drunk that if you see in the photo, when I get too drunk, you might see it today. One of my eyes just decides to just
It goes lazy.
chameleon,
Lazy
just goes
eye.
that way. It starts looking for other things, and in that photo, it's starting to go this way. So I was.
What do we call that in a possum spot?
Possum spotter. Yeah.
Is that what
I heard that recently. Yeah, it's probably
Possum
you're having a conversation, but this eye's looking for possums in the tree over there.
Were you the funny kid growing up in your family or in school? So many of these comedians tend to, they start off by saying, we were the class clown. Were you the class clown?
Well, I may have to correct you there, Tom, because I was funny at home. I always loved to make people laugh at home within the family and within friend context. But the concept of the class clown, like that loud kind of brash, I don't think a lot of comedians were that archetype because that guy that guy's confident. That guy in class.
Or do they want attention?
They all want attention, but that kind of confidence, that kind of overtness, it lends to a guy who thinks he can do anything, and that guy ends up being the corporate reptilian overlord at Deloitte. You know what I mean? He becomes that.
That's a good point, actually.
The stand-up comedians are a little bit more of the misfit archetype. We're quiet, we're doodling, we're thinking of dark, funny things in our head, but these fucking people don't deserve to.
They're more empathetic.
A little bit, yeah. And so most of the people most of my friends that are comics, most of the people I speak to, most of the comedians that I look up to, that I listen to talking, they say the same thing. We were not the ruler slapper in class.
Yeah, right. Interesting.
I can actually see that because we hung out with Angelo a few times. And he wasn't like he was on stage. It was very empathetic.
He didn't perform when you're together, obviously.
Yeah, but he's just one of the boys talking stories. But he didn't want to be the center of attention, the class clown. Here, look at me. Yeah, it was just quite cool. And a bit, you're a lot the same. You're very calm. You're very...
Well, I cop it a lot. They're like, oh, you're very serious for a comedian. I'm like, what do you think I am? Like a rodeo clown? Like, what do you...
Yeah. No, there's a good nature about you as well.
Yeah.
No, it is. And I see a lot of empathetic about you. You're very... interested in other people, trying to make other people laugh, make other people feel good and so forth. So
well, this helps.
It does.
Well, that's part of the strategy of this podcast. It's like just liquor everyone up.
I rate it.
It's a Graham Norton.
That's true.
It is.
That's his strategy.
You're right. There's one where, is it Mark Wahlberg, who's just absolutely Tifla. He's just gone.
There's been a few of them that have just gone completely off the rails.
I like that. That.
He's always got abs, doesn't he, that Mark Wahlberg? Every time I see a clip, 50 years old, he's fucking got abs. I don't know.
I remember Elizabeth Banks got pretty off chops on that show as well.
Actually, was it Thanasi? He wouldn't leave.
Oh, yeah. We had Thanasi Polikandrioti here, the bouzouki player.
Oh, yeah?
He'd written songs for Kazadzidi and, worked with Thodoraki.
He's huge.
An absolute legend. And he was only supposed to be here an hour and a half or so.
Yeah.
And his manager comes, the guy promoting the tour and whatnot, and he's trying to get him out of here.
He goes, mate, we've got other appointments to go to.
Didn't want to leave.
You just want to play. He goes, give me another tipro.
Give me another He was loving it. He couldn't get away.
That was a classic. Yeah.
Well, who were your comedic heroes growing up? You mentioned Eddie Murphy before. What sort of stuff were you watching or listening to?
Yeah, Eddie Murphy was the gateway drug.
Yeah.
That was look at this.
Yeah.
And then I found my way to Joe Avardi and those guys eventually. I remember being 12, 13 years old and going to a lot of those Il Dago, Who Let the Wogs Out, those kind of shows. And that allowed me to appreciate that, this is here too. Like this isn't just for Hollywood, and this isn't just for African Americans or Americans generally. This genre is for everybody, including me. Yeah. And so that was a really big awakening. There was a period that you must remember this, where Carl Barron was coming out with a different DVD every couple of years, and he'd be wearing it would be the same thing, but he'd wear a different color T-shirt and all the DVDs. My uncle had all of these, so we'd watch these religiously. And then I found my way to YouTube, and then once you get on YouTube, it's Russell Peters with his different ethnic accents, and then it's Cat Williams, who's like really granular when it comes to the African American culture, which I really loved. And then of course the answers that everybody gives: Dave Chappelle, Louis C.K., Bill Burr, all of those guys. Now, if I had to say, there's a guy called Gary Goldman. He's a Boston-born, New York-based comic. He's in his 40s. He's got quite a few HBO specials and stuff on Spotify, etc. But he's incredible, absolutely incredible in terms of, there's a lot of, I don't know if you guys play video games.
Not a gamer per se.
Not a game, yeah. Look, generally me neither, but
Super Mario.
You have a certain amount of like attributes and different things that you can work on at a different point.
Yep.
And you get better at whatever you focus on. And to get to that level of mastery, you need to have all of those attributes high. You need to be good at writing one-liners. You need to be good at storytelling. You need to be good at creating imagery in what you do. You need your timing to be perfect. You need to have all of these things, and that only comes from doing it for a long, long time. Gary Goldman is the one who I think has all of them the best. You know, even the masters, that the most famous comedians in the world, even the Chappelles, the Bill Burrs, these guys all have their blind spots. There's always things that they're not, that I think that they're not that good at. But it doesn't matter because they're extraordinarily popular for doing that other thing that they're really good at. So who cares? But because probably Gary Goldman didn't have the surge in popularity that these other guys did, he's just finessed every tool in the toolbox so much that it's a pleasure to listen to.
So Tom mentioned earlier all the shows that you've done. So how do you prepare for a show, or how do you prepare for a 1 hour segment? How do you get your material? Do you walk down the street and say, oh, well, that's pretty funny? Do I type that into your iPhone?
Sure. They could be walking down the street. I could do the podcast with two big Greek guys, and some funny things come out of that. It could be anything, right? And then if the lines come, they come. If I find a premise in it, great. Write it down in my phone or somewhere else, and then revisit it later and actually try and write the story of it out. And then over a period of time, an idea will form in my head for a story to tell that kind of has a link between all of those bits. There'll usually be a theme, because my mind and the person that I am at any given point will be kind of consistent. So this will be about this.
Sure.
And from there, I write, small bits, or a bit of 3 to 5 minutes, and 3 to 6 times a week is my attempted ratio. I will do the clubs in Sydney. And I'll have 10, 15, 20 minutes, and I will, if people have paid money, I'll do good tried and tested material and sandwich new material in the middle to test it out. Everybody records their sets on their phones. You listen to it on the drive home. You make those mental changes, and you just keep finessing it until after about a year, you have the hour, and then you take the hour to Adelaide, and you let Adelaide cop the shitty half-done version, because those people don't matter. And I didn't say that. And then like I did this last hour 22 times in totality. And by the end of it, it becomes second nature, and you really appreciate what it is that I'm trying to say here. So it's a year-long process.
Wow.
And by the end of it, you're fucking sick of the show. So I've got so sick of this show by the end of it. I don't have to fucking do this. I just want to do this next stuff. But you got to do it. You got to do it.
Wow, okay.
How far does it go from that initial idea? How different is it from?
Unbelievably.
Yeah,
unbelievably. Really? I had friends that I did a rough trial show for this last one in December, and I've just invited some close friends. That was in December, and then in May I did the Sydney Comedy Festival version, which was supposed to be the last one of the tour. And those same friends came to that show, and so many of them were saying, "Oh, it was so different." I was really worried about the show when I saw that first one. I'm like, I called it a trial show. Like, what do you want? It's, but yeah, very, very different, because it's one thing to think something's going to work and that you're going to be able to convey a certain idea in a certain way. But until you road test that, you've got no way of knowing.
So do you have like males and females, 50 plus, 20 below? Do you have like different type of mix?
Yeah, absolutely.
So even when you're trialing it, because some people might think it's funny,
When I'm doing club gigs, it's me on a lineup. It's me in a showcase, me 5, 6, 10 other comedians. So the audiences at those shows, they're not my audience.
Okay.
So if something goes horrendously, I've gotten better at leaving and thinking, okay, I probably am not going to kill myself tonight. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is okay. It's fine. It just wasn't for those kind of people, or you need to work on it a bit harder. So that's really just practice getting the words out.
Yeah. Okay.
But in terms of, to answer your actual question, in terms of my audience, it's a mix. It's a big mix.
Do you get many hecklers? And how do you handle the hecklers?
Sometimes I do. Not as much as I used to.
Okay.
I think there's a kind of, how can I say this without being really pretentious? I carry myself in a certain way on stage that there's a very heckleable archetype of a comedian that they're kind of a bit shy, a bit more reserved. I tend to do it. So people are a little bit less likely to just scream something out. And I also have a quite quick pace. But I have been heckled quite a lot in the past.
Okay. Have you got any examples of what people have said?
Yep. So when I did, so Raw is the stand-up comedy open mic competition in across Australia, and then each state has their heats and their semi-final and their state final, and then if you make it through the state final, you go to the national final, which happens in Melbourne every year, and the finals on SBS.
So you have a panel that sit there and say, "Yep, he's good."
Yep.
Yeah, and they
Totally
got some sort of criteria of rating.
They do.
Wow. Okay.
They do. My first ever time doing Raw, I'd been doing comedy for about 6 months at this point.
Yep.
I was so nervous. Comedy Store in Sydney. Comedy Store is the number one in Sydney. First time ever doing that stage.
Yep.
I'm smack bang in the middle of the lineup, so everybody's getting a nice fair go. I come out, I do my first joke. There's a man and a woman in the front row, and they're just incessantly talking throughout my set.
Yeah.
So after doing my first joke, I'm like, "Hey, are you guys going to talk for the whole time?" And the man was like, sorry. And the woman looked at me like, "You're my enemy now."
Yeah.
So for the rest of my set, anytime I would set something up, I've been going to the gym recently, she would yell out, "Who cares?"
Wow.
At every premise that I had, right? And because you only have 5 minutes, you can't go over the 5 minutes. I didn't have time to stop and address her. I had to just keep going. So the whole time I'm doing my set, everybody else is kind of listening to the set. Someone's yelling out, "Who cares?" Everything that I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then at the end, I had a pretty good final line, got a really, really good laugh.
Yeah.
And then I looked at her and I was like, "But who cares, right?" And that got a good kind of like ovation. And then I went back. But for about a year and a half after that, I was so traumatized by the experience that my timing was fucked. I didn't let my jokes sink because I was so scared to give the audience a bit of leeway to yell some shit out. So I just kept going, move on to the next thing.
Okay, didn't have that pause.
That's right, which is bad.
And timing's obviously everything in this, isn't it?
Everything. So that was bad. Now if I've got a bit more time, I kind of relish the heckle because chances are, if some dickheads decided to yell something out, everybody else in the crowd doesn't want to hear it either. Yeah. So all you have to do is put that person down in any kind of way, and everybody's on your side.
It is the dumbest thing ever to heckle the person with the microphone.
So silly. I did get punched in the face one time on stage.
Are you kidding?
Really?
Yeah.
Someone came up punched in the face.
I got Will Smith.
Wow.
Jeez. How did you manage that?
Fine. No worries.
Hang on, was that recently?
No, it was start of 2019.
So before Will Smith.
Before Will Smith.
Okay. So
you're a trailblazer.
I walked so Chris Rock could run.
You're the original.
Yeah, I'm the guy.
Holy shit.
Actually, Jim Jeffries is the original, but we don't have time to get into that now.
So hang on, tell us what happened. So this is interesting.
So I used to do a joke where I would say, I'm so scared of guys with neck tattoos that if I was at a club and a guy with a neck tattoo came and slapped my girlfriend in front of me, I'd probably just break up with her.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to fight him. I'm too scared. And there was a drunk group of British people in the front row, and they were enjoying my set up until that point. But as soon as I said that joke, I think the woman mistook the joke for like a domestic violence joke. And she just was screaming at me like, "Next, get out of here, next. We want a new act, next. Hashtag me too. Hashtag me too." And I just said, check when you leave under the seat. There's a horrible mole magnet under there. And as soon as I said that, the boyfriend just like shot up and just came on stage. He was like, "Not on, mate, not on. No, speak to my missus like that." And he came up, took a swing. I kind of ducked, blocked it. And then the security took him out.
Keep your wife's name out my fucking
Yeah,
mouth.
honestly.
Wow.
And I just finished my set.
What are the plans for the future now? What's on the horizon for Anthony Locascio?
So I'm maybe about 50% of the way through writing my next show.
Okay.
And I'm gonna tour that next year as well. So that's that. I'm looking to get into something a little bit more helpful for my career in terms of a day job. So I'm actively looking for TV and radio jobs. So if anyone's out there likes the cut of my jib, send your resume.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Other than that, nothing. Good. Rinse and repeat. Going to Greece, obviously, but other than that, just I'm I'm starting to figure this thing out, so I'm not planning to reinvent the wheel at this point.
Speaking of the Greek community, have you had any controversy, any comments, any positive comments from the Greek community at all from your shows and what's happened?
So, going back to what we were saying before about how all you need to do is like put some white paint on something, and they're like, Illinois. Yeah. that was
white
me.
Paint on your lemon tree.
That's right. No, anything. They're like,
tree.
He's ours.
Yeah.
When I did my very first show in 2017, and I filmed it and I put the different clips on YouTube, and one of them was quite popular. It was where I was talking about my papu versus my nonno and the differences between them.
Sure.
And that got a lot of popularity in Greece, especially. They were liking it a lot. And I put this other video up where I compare Italy and Greece, and I'm talking about how service staff in Greece and Italy are a bit lazy.
Yep.
Yes, I've seen this one. Yep.
Okay.
And they fucking hate it.
Really?
The Greeks. Yeah. Italians don't give a shit.
Yeah.
The Greeks are so angry at me. They just... It's a comical amount of comments on YouTube, just like, you don't have any clue. You've been in Greece for 2 minutes. You're an Australian. What's wrong with you? How could you joke about something so serious? We're the hardest working people in the world. You don't know anything. You try working for 75 cents an hour in 40-degree heat. You don't know anything. And I'm like, guys, like, if you don't like something, like, are you commenting on beheading videos as well? Like, just move on. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that was years ago. But then I did the Joe Vardy show in Melbourne recently, and they filmed my set, and I included in that show, because I needed to do my WOG material, I included in that show the material about Greeks and Italians being lazy.
Yeah.
And to the Aussie Greeks and Italians.
So you said Greeks and Italians.
Greeks and Italians,
lazy.
yeah, but I compared both. So I compared the waiter at the taverna with the like help desk woman in Milan.
Yeah.
You know, both of them
Fabrizio,
are like Fabrizio, both of them are like
classic.
Like, I'll help you when I'm ready. You know, I got my own life happening.
Yeah.
And I did the bit, and the people in Melbourne, they loved it, and they filmed it, and I was like, all right, I got fresh video of this. I'm a much better comic than I was then. I'm going to cut it up, and I'm going to put it online again. And I put it on TikTok.
Yeah.
And I must have put it up on TikTok maybe 2 months ago now.
Yeah.
Yep.
I will show you my phone now. Guarantee you, in the last 3 hours that I've been away from my phone, that I've been with you guys, I guarantee you there'll be a comment from a Greek person saying, you have no fucking idea what you're talking about. Fuck you and you're fucking...
Really?
They are so angry. They're so angry, and they think that the injustice of this world is going to be solved from the comfort of their keyboard on TikTok. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Why are you writing the comment if you don't like it? You don't know anything. All right, you're right. Sorry, I changed my mind. I'll take the video down. What are you...
And you're saying that Italians don't give it...
Couldn't give a fuck. Couldn't give a fuck.
Just laugh it off. Wow.
Or they just don't see it. They can't operate the interface of TikTok.
Yeah. You've got too many other things to worry about.
That's right.
Classic, yeah.
Oh, dear.
So, again, going back to the 80s and 90s, the Nick Giannopoulos, Acropolis Now... I guess a lot of Greeks wouldn't have been fond of the way Greeks were portrayed back then, even though we all laughed about it.
You think so? Well, this is not something that I'd be privy to, you know, because
I've got friends who have come recently from Greece, and they come and they see that they don't get it because they didn't grow up in that context.
That's right,
and they find it offensive.
But it's not for them.
Exactly.
Just like my what I'm saying, it's not for them either. I'm talking about the Australian Greek experience going to Greece.
So it's a diaspora thing.
That's right. Yeah. Because as much as we love our Greek heritage, as much as we feel bound to it.
Sure.
We're not Greeks.
Yeah.
We're Greek Australians, or we're Australian Greeks, whatever you want to call
100%.
it. We're a totally different type of person, and that's okay. Yeah. That doesn't mean we have any less right to have our own experiences in this country or in that country. People don't seem to understand that. We're not real Greeks.
It's interesting because even we've had a comment on YouTube, for example, where someone said, I think it was on one of Angelo's videos, where a Greek came and commented saying, αυτά τα πράγματα μόνο οι Αυστραλοί γελάνε. Μόνο οι Έλληνες της διασποράς γελάνε με τέτοια πράγματα.
It's like, that's who we're aiming for.
That's
what this is about. How you found your way here is not our business, you know? But you came to our clubhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting though how it can be taken out of context like that,
Yeah.
and how offended people can be by that.
And honestly, the first time I got a mean comment like that, I was heartbroken.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Because I was 20, 25 and I'm just starting this thing, and I didn't want to upset anybody. I just, if you don't think it's funny, if you don't like it, that's fine. Move on, go find someone else.
Click and flick.
But to get angry enough to take action here,
Yeah.
I was so upset. But then when I woke up the next day and it's like 170 of them, I thought, okay, well, these people are fucking idiots.
Yeah.
Well, we're
guess
happy to
it's
say that the majority of things that we hear about you, and the things that we see are always positive, and
Thank you.
love
Thank
we
you.
love the way
That's-
that you tell your stories. Look, I think we're getting close to the end here, so tell us where we can find you. Plug your website, your social media, and whatnot.
My website needs to be updated as per your intro. That's what's occurred to me now. I've got to get my admin person on it. My admin person being me.
Yeah.
And okay, so I think I'm probably most accessible on Instagram.
Okay.
So it's at anthony.locascio.
Yeah.
I'm on TikTok. I don't like it, but I'm on TikTok. Anthony Locascio on YouTube and Facebook. And don't personally DM me because you don't fucking know me. But I get a lot of that. I get a lot of people like sending in. I'm not a famous person. You don't get to write messages. Like there's a Portuguese guy who will comment on my videos like, I wish you hadn't shaved your moustache. It's so much harder to masturbate to these videos.
Wow. Far out.
Like,
In
wow.
fairness, the moustache was glorious.
Liked it?
It was good.
Might have to make a comeback there.
Oh, what a classic. I
Yeah.
can't believe you get these comments.
yeah. And I'm like, all
We
They're
right.
don't
not
get
in
comments
jest
like
either.
We don't get anything like that, do we?
Not
Just
that you
wait.
see.
We just say, I want to buy a hat.
Nothing. This is for Nick's own good. I gotta get rid of this stuff.
Actually, now on the Instagram stuff, I've got to tell a quick story before we wrap up, because the reason why we ended up getting you, my friend was in Greece at the time, and she was sitting on the couch with her mum, watching videos of Ouzo Talk on YouTube. Her mum actually said, I've seen this awesome Australian, Greek, Australian, Italian comedian. This woman lives in Greece, mind you, right? She goes, I think his name's Anthony. And my friend messaged me at that point saying, you should get Anthony Locascio on the podcast. And I'm like, oh yeah, we should definitely do that. Half an hour later, I was messaged saying, he's coming.
Damn.
So it came via Greece.
I'm that easy, huh?
There you go. So
That's
you
all.
are popular
That's
in Greece,
awesome.
mate.
Yeah, I think that there's. I really want to go and do shows there.
Well, you've got some fans in Patra, I can tell you that
All right,
for
that's
sure.
first off. Patra, let's do it. Let's do it.
Classic. Good stuff, mate.
Anthony, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
This was
And
awesome, guys. Thank you so much for having me. This was,
thank you for coming.
anytime you want me back, I'm in.
Well, we
will,
might have to bring you back to talk about some soccer, I reckon.
Oh.
Football. We
think
should bring you
so.
back.
We don't have the time.
Are you well versed on football, obviously?
I'm pretty well
European.
versed. I'm pretty well versed.
What about the Greek national team? Okay, we're going to have to bring him back because we are going to do an episode on Greek football.
I'm in. I'm
Yeah.
in.
Oh, fantastic.
Actually, Panathinaikos,
Yeah.
we're going to Olympiakos fan. This is going to be awesome. I think we have to bring both of you in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
There's going to
we
be a
have to.
punch on.
I'm in. I'm in. But
It is a long table. Tom.
I'll get the bus.
Yeah.
We'll have chauffeurs for you. Don't worry, mate.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll
sort it out.
figure it out.
Beautiful.
Yeah, good stuff, Anthony. Honestly, lovely to meet you. We didn't talk about the word Anthony. I think we're going to talk about
We
why
said Entoni.
Anthony. Do you want to tell us quickly why your grandfather used to call you Anthony? There was a story behind that, wasn't
Yeah,
there?
there is a story behind it. My Nonno, I'm doing the joke on the podcast.
okay.
No, I'll do it. That's okay. It's an old joke.
Oldie but a goodie.
Oldie but a goodie. So my Nonno, he gives out the classic gift at Christmas to all the kids and the grandkids. Envelope,
Yep, sure.
cash, no card, or
Yep.
just your name written in the top right hand corner.
Yep.
And Nonno spells my name exactly how he pronounces it, which is Entoni. Hey, Entoni.
Yeah.
Entoni.
Yeah.
That's how he spells it on the card,
Yeah.
which is totally fine. You know, he's an old guy. He's English is not his first language, so that's totally fine. But I am named after him.
Yeah, wow. Classic. God bless you.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Love it.
I love your
It's a
Nonno.
mind fuck.
Oh, what a classic. Honestly, it's been great having you here.
Thank you
Awesome.
so. This is so fun. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
We'll do it all again. We'll talk soccer next time.
We
Done.
will. Soccer, or we could do another comedian session.
Why not?
I think we will. There's a few coming out too, by the way.
There are.
We need to talk about.
There are.
Yeah.
We'll see what we can do.
Very interesting.
See what we can do.
Nice.
Definitely good stuff.
Anthony Locascio, thank you very much, mate. Really
Thank you,
appreciate
gentlemen.
it.
Thank you so much.
If you want to get in touch with us, Ouzo Talk at outlook.com. Most social media platforms at Ouzo Talk or at Ouzo_talk on Instagram. Nick, thank you very much, mate.
Mate, it's been unreal, Tom. I love it. It's Kumozo, John Kumos, legend, fantastic, and Ritza, awesome, beautiful. We love it.
Tune in next time, same bat channel. We'll see you soon.
All right, see you guys. Bye.
Ακολουθήστε μας στο Soundees, στο Spotify, στο Apple Podcasts και στο Google Podcasts.